afternoon. My name is Karina Pressoir. Today I will be speaking about sex and gender and the problems branch from them. Biology. Biology is the study of living organisms. A living organism's sex is determined by biology. Biologists look at a living organism's chromosomes to determine whether it is a female or male. If the living organism has a Y chromosome, then it is a male. If it does not, it is female. Another difference between men and female, other than Y chromosomes, are the hormones. Females have estrogens and males have androgens. When biologists look at gender, they look into nature versus nurture, meaning they look at whether gender is due to the genetic makeup or due to the way they are raised. For a long time, gender has been treated as nature. For example, a baby's sex will determine its gender automatically. Sex and gender is important when it comes to the medical field. There are different illnesses and health defects that occur in females and males. According to Mary Rojek, there are significant sex differences in these illnesses and diseases. Rojek also points out that the medical school curriculum does not differentiate in sex and gender. One major point made was that women's health should not be solely based on obstetrics and gynecologists. Sex and gender being seen as one. Gender roles. Society believes that because someone was born a certain sex, then they automatically take the roles of the equivalent gender. For example, when parents find out they are having a girl, they go out and buy pink-colored items and Barbie dolls. They do this because pink is a color that is associated with girls, and Barbie dolls are the toys that girls are supposed to play with. At least, that is what society has us believe. Society also has us believe that there are only two sexes, which often confuses people into believing that there are only two genders. But there are gender nonconformists. Gender nonconformists denote or relate to a person whose behavior or appearance does not conform to the prevailing cultural or societal expectations about what is appropriate to their gender. Nonconformists are seen as outsiders and different because they are out of the norm of society. They are deviant. Nonconformists are not just LGBTQ, but also people who have the pronouns of they, them, or it. Economics. Gender inequality in the workplace has been around since women began to work. An increase of women being involved in the workforce happened between 1970 and the early 1990s. Since then, there has been an occupational sex segregation, which is a pattern of where men and women are situated in terms of jobs based on sex. All jobs associated with women are low-paying jobs, and even if women do work in a man's job, they are paid poorly or paid less than a man would. Between men and women, there is an earning gap. Women who work full-time and year-round earn 70 cents for every dollar a man makes. Women also tend to work less overtime and take more time off compared to men. The graph shows us the total amount of earnings that men and women get compared on race, and also the total of the whole population. Gender inequality, parenthood. If a woman is the main breadwinner, does gender inequality affect the family's formation? Schober asked us this question. When she asked us this question, she's asking if a woman brings home the highest income, once she becomes pregnant and has a child, does this change? Does she still go to work? Does she still become the highest breadwinner in the house? Or does the man of the house end up getting more money or being the only one bringing home an income? When women are in pre-birth, they reduce their working hours in turn damaging their career and income. They also pick up on household labor. Studies have found that fathers' income and hours do increase when women are in pre-birth. Sociology. Gender is a social construct. Society has formed gender. They have constructed it and built it into what it is today. Society has set out these rules on how a woman and a man should act, resulting in gender roles. From a young age, we are taught gender roles. We are taught how a woman should act and how a man should act, not only from movies or books that we read, but also from religion and culture and the way our parents treat us. Societies transform biological females and males into socially interacting women and men. A lot of our gender is learned at home through games, such as video games for boys and doll games and Barbie houses for little girls. Also, the books that we read. A lot of books that are read have to do with a poor girl who needs to be saved by a strong man. Person blame. Gender inequality has been blamed on the person instead of society or the system. And when people do blame the person, they say a few things. They blame it on women's socialization and what they prioritize, their characteristics, the way they interact with the world, and that's their fault. They blame their education. They blame the education path that they choose or the lack of education that women may have. They also blame their choice of taking time out of the workforce to have children. They are not understanding at all and think that since the woman chose to have this child and chose to take the time out, then she is undeserving of the same amount that a man would choose. There is also the human capital theory, which blames characteristics that the workers bring to their jobs. So if a woman brings certain characteristics to a job that the employer is not looking for, but many men do bring these types of characteristics, then women will not get paid as much as men because the employer is looking for male characteristics. But person blame is only a small part of gender inequality. System blame. System blame is when the society and the system that each gender is being a part of is the reason for its inequality. There are practices about gender that are embedded in the system. There's a primary segment versus secondary segment. Primary segment is a job that has stability, high wages, promotion, ladders, opportunity for advancement, good working conditions, and provisions for jobs security. These are jobs that males usually have. Secondary segments are of low wages, fewer or no promotion ladders, poor working conditions, and little provisions for job security, which are jobs that women usually fall in. Women's labor falls in secondary segment. System blame also has to do with schools. Schools have a hidden curriculum that promotes gender inequality. And religion is also a system that promotes gender inequality. How to remedy the problem? To begin to remedy the problem, society needs to change. There needs to be open-mindedness to new ideas, such as actually giving women the same pay as men, or being open-minded to treating their kids differently or letting them choose what toys they want to play with and what color they want, or how they would like to act instead of forcing them to act a certain way, which leads me to acceptance. Though a person may not fit with our social norm, we must accept them so we can change our social norm and make it okay to be proud of who you are and to be treated as an equal regardless of your gender. People need to find love. You may not like what someone is doing, but loving them for who they are and not how they live will definitely help the problem. And most of all, people must start to embrace change. Respect as a remedy. Respect. Equality and respect are intertwined, but people tend to forget this. Women are fighting for equality, but forgetting to fight for respect. Lack of respect makes it easier for men to reinforce control over women. Career and reproductive responsibilities need to stop being seen as a secondary status. A lot of women are in the workforce as care representatives or reproductive doctors or nurses or people who have to do in these fields. But when people look at these fields, they are seen as secondary, as if they are not as important as a high-paying CEO job or a high-paying businessman. If they are seen the same and respected the way that those jobs are, then we would be one step closer to gender equality. Respect is empowering and has transformative factors. With respect on our side, gender inequality would not be an issue, or we would be a little closer to having a fully equal gender society. Thank you for watching my presentation.